Okay, I will call the, I can't believe it's February, meeting of the Hudson Park Board to order. I don't see anyone from the general public who has any comments or things they'd like to say. You want to do the roll call, Deb?
Sure. Pat Casanova.
Here.
Tori
Here.
Blumza. Here. Don Buchan.
Here.
Karen Nessa. Here. Mike Kennedy.
Here.
Mike.
Good, we have a quorum.
Yep, we have a quorum.
Everybody had a copy of the minutes in Deb's packet. Are there any changes, corrections, or omissions that anybody saw? None? All those in favor of approving?
Second.
All those in favor of approving?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Do we want to jump to?
He's first on the new business.
Jim Drake.
Yep. Jim, you'll be first up, so.
Yeah, so under new business, item 5A is discussion and possible action to extend the St. Croix Rowing Club lease agreement. So the city has been in an agreement with the St. Croix Rowing Club to lease one of our buildings at the end of St. Croix Street for, oh boy, Deb, how long has it been? 10, 15, 20 years, who knows? I mean, a long time.
Yeah, over 20.
Yeah, and it's been a great partnership with the rowing club. It meets their needs. I'm sure they would probably want more space because they are growing a group, but they are wanting to renew the agreement that we have. The current lease does expire at the end of April, and to kind of get out in front of it a little bit, I put it on the February agenda for you to review and approve and ask any questions that you might have. Jim Drake is here from the rowing club if you do have any questions for him, but staff is recommending approval.
Anybody have any questions for them while they're here? Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. And like we were talking earlier, you guys are an asset to the community.
Well, thanks, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Can I talk from here?
Yo, go right ahead, or over to the podium would be better.
Over the podium?
Yeah.
All right. I just want to say thanks very much for the support of the city and all of you. We really appreciate it. So it's nice to have the space and have access to the river. So thank you very much.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Yeah. Okay. All good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Item B is discussion and possible action on doing the memorial that was brought up at the last meeting.
No, this is
This is new.
This is a new one. So
This is a new one?
Yep. This is
Oh, excuse me, this is Casey Nelson.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
This is a memorial application that we received from Casey Nelson to install a memorial bench in Berkmos Park. The intent in the application is to install it somewhere overlooking the river. Now, obviously, there are the Indian burial grounds out there, so there are some limitations, but staff doesn't see any reason why we wouldn't be able to put it somewhere up along that bluff line, and recommending approval. One caveat is that myself and the applicant would go up there when the snow does melt, walk the grounds, and come up with a place that they're comfortable with installing this memorial bench. So as long as, like I said, it doesn't affect some of the amenities that are up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to approve? Or anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I don't
I have a
think,
quick question. So where the burial mounds are now, are there any other, I think there are, so I'll answer my own question. Are there any other benches? Are those memorial benches that are up there, or are they just?
is there,
Yeah, they're mainly all memorial
Yeah.
benches, actually.
They are, okay. So we have already, this
Yes.
is in the.
We have a precedent of it.
yeah,
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 okay.
there's a couple picnic tables, garbage cans, a couple memorial benches. It's just, they're not placed on or near
Okay.
Indian burial, yeah, the mounds.
Yeah, as long as we respect the reverence,
Yes.
because I like, that it's not for frisbee golf or,
Right.
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
I'll move to approve the application.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion or questions about it? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, we have
Yes.
the stairs
Yeah,
going down on the dike.
yeah, so I did reach out to SEH, and they actually helped Marine on St. Croix across the river, or was it Lakeland, one of the two communities, install some some staircases from kind of similar to what we're doing, but along the beach. And so they do have experience installing staircases like this along the St. Croix River. The way that community did it was they went out and got quotes. SEH helped them with some of the permitting. The community went out and got a couple quotes from manufacturers of like steel staircases that could weld them, so on and so forth. And the pricing that they got back was $17,000 to $18,000 to fabricate these staircases. So it's not really they couldn't go out and just buy prefabricated staircases because of some of the pitch and the elevations. It was tough for them to find something that was able to be plug and play. That's some of the things that they were running into. What you have in front of you tonight is to basically bring SEH on board and help us through the entire process. Now, obviously, the mooring club or the mooring people have been requesting some type of access from the Toll Bridge Road down to the water's edge to help with ease of access, ease of getting to their dinghy so they're not climbing down. You're bleeding, Don.
You're bleeding
Other
on this
elbow.
arm.
The,
Your left arm. You're really bleeding.
the,
Okay.
Yeah.
Go to the
this
restroom.
can has been kicked down
Go to
the
the
road
restroom.
for years now,
Yeah.
at least a dozen,
Yeah.
where something we started to move forward, then we run into problems that it couldn't be done, or
Right.
funding or what have you. And it is dangerous going up and down those rocks
Yep.
to down there.
Right.
And it is something we need to solve.
Yeah. So what you have in front of you is an LOE with SEH, and it's an engineering service agreement. What they would provide the city would be, they would take care of all the permitting. They would take care of all of the preliminary survey, the topo work, as far as shooting the elevations to determine, the design, how long the stairs have to be, the pitch, so on and so forth. They would develop the bidding plans and specifications. They would help us through the bidding process. They would help us process the pay applications and then help close the project out. We would probably perform the inspection services in-house to save a little bit of money. As you see in front of you, the total cost of these services is $29,900. I'm recommending that this be funded out of the 280 account, which is the boat mooring account. So a portion of the fee that we get from the boat moors goes into this account specifically for improvements to the mooring area. And that balance through the end of 2022 is $100,141.50. So, obviously $30,000, we'd have roughly $70,000 to actually, when we do go out for bid, each staircase is gonna cost approximately, I would assume, in that $15,000 to $20,000 range. So we're probably looking at about 4 sets of staircases is what we'd be able to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is,
Well, I was just gonna say, this seems like a really good plan to me, but my only concern is this actual stairway allowing everybody to just go down the stairs to the
Yeah.
river, and whether or not that should be a concern for safety reasons.
I think people are going down to the river
Anyway.
anyway, if they, they're going to get down there if they want to.
Want to?
I don't know. I don't know if a lock at the top would make a difference. I don't know.
I bet it wouldn't, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I don't think.
I don't think we
Kids
need to even
Kids
worry
would
about
crawl
it.
over it, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think posting any signage would help, like mooring access only.
Right.
People aren't gonna ignore that. The only thing I would say is, the reason why I want to try to steer in bringing SCH on is it takes some of the liability off the city as far as the design,
Yeah.
make sure that they're properly installed,
Yeah.
and they meet the codes, so on and so forth. Where if someone were to get injured, they can't come back and say the city was negligent. Now, obviously, if someone does get injured and everything is kosher and we aren't negligent, the city is covered under recreational
okay.
immunity and,
Okay.
and this would fall under that as well. So, but I do share those same concerns as far as just people hanging out, but they're climbing up and down the rocks, and this is,
Yeah, and I understand why they want
yeah,
this
oh yeah.
access. It makes perfect sense, so.
Will there be lighting? And if not, I would suggest there is, so it doesn't become something for maybe the youth of the community to hang out on in the evening hours.
Okay. That could be incorporated somehow, some way.
Or placed by a street
Even
lamp
if you
or
had a
something.
street light at the top of each one.
Yeah, at the top of the,
And the way to do that, I think, would be motion sensitive,
Sure.
because then that would do is it would serve more as a deterrent.
Yeah, we do have lighting along the Tolbert. Maybe we can situate the staircases
Under a
near.
street lamp or
near-
something.
Yeah,
Yep.
so.
And there's better places to hang out than
Then
on
down
the
the
stairway
dike,
down.
right. I think the worst, I think the
You're gonna hang
worst
out, you're gonna
thing,
be out on the end.
I think the worst thing we're gonna see is somebody fishing off of there.
Oh,
I
they
really
will
think
be.
that's gonna be the worst that we're gonna see.
Yeah.
And I
I
think
don't think
the,
that's a problem.
the
I
sailboat.
don't, no, I don't either.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
I think the sailboat moorings will police the area themselves, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
If I
Oh,
know
okay.
them. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think they will.
because they don't want people messing with their dinghies.
Sure, sure.
And, so all the DNR and state permitting is done through these guys, so that's
Yes.
off your, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a long time coming.
And the bigger one is the liability issues
Yeah.
go away when using them.
Right, yep.
I think that's,
Yeah.
You know,
that's
it's the right key to unlock it and be able to do it,
Right, yeah.
you know, that
Just
it puts
us
all
having
the
an idea, yeah.
different parts of the puzzle together and they're used to doing it.
Right.
And who makes the final call? Do these stairs just go down till the last stair? Or is there a landing? Or, I mean, with the water up and down 10 feet, these will be underwater at some points and probably not reaching the water other points, I'm guessing.
Right. So I think you design it to the ordinary watermark.
Okay.
With some type of landing. And like you said, it's just gonna fluctuate and you're not gonna get away from that.
Yeah.
It's nothing that's gonna pivot or anything that's gonna be stationary.
Right, okay.
Yep.
This is a dumb question. How, once they get to the bottom of the stairs, how do they get to the dinghy?
They walk,
So the dinghy, yeah,
yeah, they
Wait,
walk along the shore.
Oh,
oh,
okay,
either
they're
to the
spread
left
out.
or to the right, because
Right.
we're,
There are areas where they can warm up.
okay.
aren't they going to be attached to the stair, though?
no, so there's,
No, they have separate mooring areas for them.
Yep.
Okay, okay.
As far as durability, I would suggest aluminum maybe, because you want it maintenance-free.
okay,
You want it to last forever.
Yep.
You don't want it a maintenance nightmare, or.
But you don't want the ice to move it.
What's that?
You don't want the ice to
Correct, yeah.
wreck it either.
so it's gotta be durable, but
I would
yet,
say
yeah.
aluminum. Sounds-
Or is it something, again, that's a pull in, pull out at wintertime, too?
Because that can become a nightmare.
Sorry.
And design it, so that.
Yeah, we'll keep that in mind. Whether it's steel, powder coated steel or aluminum, a lot of it's gonna factor on price too. If aluminum's gonna be twice as much for a staircase, then,
But long-term,
yeah, I know.
Yeah, but the ice will destroy it. That freezes in. And if you have a south wind, it all bashes into that
The
side.
shoreline.
Yeah.
That's one of the issues that came up in discussions when trying to decide how to do it before, of one of the design problems to solve
Right.
in doing it.
so powder-coated steel, at least minimum.
The issue was making it, have it be able to withstand the ice, freeze up in the winter, and thaw.
And then maintenance as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, maintenance, definitely wanna take the maintenance.
Oh, they're the experts, right?
And they've done it before, which is good. We don't have to pay
Yeah.
for them to learn.
Right.
Yeah,
It's worth a lot.
yeah, it
I just
is.
have a curiosity question. What is bathymetrics? That,
Bathymetric survey,
yeah, what is that?
you're gonna make me Google that? I don't remember.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, it was the first time I've ever seen that word, so I thought, what the
It's gotta be a
heck?
water
And
thing,
isn't
right?
that
It's a water thing, yes. It's the like displacement of water versus what you put in it. And
Oh,
I
okay.
probably,
Okay.
I shouldn't have said that on the recording, but I'm probably
No,
wrong.
it's accepted from their agreement of things they're going to cover. So it's something
Oh, I
that the
see. Oh,
city
it's in
has to
there.
provide, I guess.
sorry.
I think it was in
If
there.
I'm correct,
didn't read
the way everything goes with the Wild and Scenic River Act and
Oh, I
flood
see.
control, we can't do anything that pushes water to our neighbor downstream. By putting something in up here, they have to make sure that it's not,
Yeah.
like a balloon, you squeeze it here, it's gonna bulge
Yeah.
out there,
Yep.
is their rationale, but.
Bathymetric survey allows us to measure the depth of a water body as well as map the underwater features of a water body.
Oh,
There you go.
Learn something.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'd like you to use that in a sentence now.
I'll never have to
Yeah.
use it again.
Spell it. So we need a motion.
I move.
I second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions anyone has? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. I think it's a good thing that we can finally
Move forward.
get moving forward on.
Yeah.
They've been, well, yeah, Pat, you know, they've been discussing this for 15 years, I think.
Oh.
So it'll be good.
Yeah.
And I think it's unique too, because they, depending if they have all the math right, they do feel like part of their fees is going to benefit their sport.
Right.
And, you know,
Yeah.
for years, we just say, not yet, so,
Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
good.
so it's time.
Yeah, and they want to see something for the money that they're paying each year
Yeah.
to be there. And, you know, it's dangerous going up and down those rocks. So this will be nice to be able to solve that. Next item we have up is item D, discussion of the installation of the splash pad out at White Camp Park. There's
So excited.
layout and everything in the packet.
Yeah, does everybody have a diagram or, John, you got
Yes.
one? No? Here, Deb, that's fine. All right, so at the January 3rd Common Council meeting, there was a vote to appropriate or fund a splash pad in the parks. They appropriated $400,000 in remaining ARPA funds from COVID relief dollars. And what I want to do before I go out and submit RFPs for design, construction, and installation, I just want to have a general discussion with the park board where you feel it makes sense to install this up at White Camp Park. Now, with that being said, I will say a couple different things. If you look at the diagram, in between the large shelter and the small shelter, that is where the water and sanitary line comes in. So I know in the past, there's been discussion to kind of put the splash pad in that area. If that were the case, we would be putting right over the top of some utility lines, which probably isn't the best thing to do, just in case those fail and.
Or
yeah.
they can get moved, but
Yeah.
the plan was, when they did all the grading and setup on that, was for it to be east of the small
Okay.
pavilion.
Okay, because wasn't they talking about an ice skating rink at some point in time too in this area? We don't,
So is,
That,
looking at this, am I kind of standing where the water department that?
yes.
Okay,
Yes.
All right,
Yep,
okay.
yep,
all right.
yep.
I thought the ice rink was in this area.
Okay, to the east of
On the other side?
I thought the ice rink was in this area.
Okay, yeah, so that's sort of
Where's
in
North
that
Elms?
same area.
left.
That's like,
Oh, I'm sorry.
right here, just like this is north.
That's it?
Yeah.
No.
Right?
Oh, I thought, because he said between
That's
the
Top of
two
the page.
buildings.
Oh, north is this way?
Yeah.
Oh,
North is up.
Out there.
oh,
Yep, there you go.
okay. Well, don't
Mike,
listen
did
to
you
me.
say the splash pad will be here or here?
Well, I mean, that's kind of what I want to discuss tonight. What I would recommend is you see the little shelter,
Yeah,
okay? I would put it to the north of that, to the
Yeah.
top of that, towards the retention pond. You can, you don't have as
Yeah.
long a run to offshoot the water. It's in a wide open space. It's away from, as much as you want it close to the bathrooms and pavilion, it's away from, you don't want kids with wet feet running over there, slipping and sliding around. I'm hesitant to put it in the, okay, so you got a trail on the right side and the trail on the left side. You see kind of that middle area, there's a bunch of trees, and if we have larger gatherings or community events, that gets fenced off for, additional usage. I know the mayor had an event out there last summer, the Booyah, and we fenced that whole area off. So I'd hate to put it in that area, so it's like, it almost kind of leaves you can't put it to the left of the playground, to the west of the playground, because that's the sledding hill. There's too much pitch there. So it's kind of almost like you're almost leading into that one spot north of the small shelter, but I just want to open it up. I mean, we could go to the east of the small shelter. It's kind of up to the park board where you'd like to see it.
How big does that, I mean, do
you
you have
know-
a size of how big it's gonna be?
Yeah, it's probably gonna be, let's see, what can I compare it to? You see the size of that playground? Mm-hmm. It's probably gonna be I'd say half to maybe 3/4 of that size.
Okay.
And this is basically no standing water, it's
Correct.
fountains and stuff that pours down and,
Yep.
and then is that water drained, recycled, filtered? Is that just going to the system? How does that all?
There's two different systems. There's the recirculating system, which is the water is contained within the pad itself, and it's just recycled. Okay? The downfall with that is then you have to treat it,
Okay.
and you have to bring in chemicals, and you have to have certified pool operators. The other system is pass-through, where a kid activates a push button, the water meter, the feature comes on, the water comes down into a drain, and goes into the stormwater pond.
Okay.
Obviously.
Oh, stormwater
The
pond,
gallon
okay.
usage estimate beyond that.
Oh, my gosh. You know, I had those numbers a couple years ago when we were talking about this. I can get them to you. I don't recall off the top of my head.
Might be in the file. It might be in that file. in the
So would it go
server.
specifically into that holding pond?
Yeah,
It would, okay.
yep,
But we're using fresh water. We're throwing away fresh water.
Right.
right. That's the
Putting it back
down,
in the earth.
that's the
Oh,
downfall.
at least it's in the hydrocycle, yes.
Yes. Have we,
As the park has developed, from when everything was laid out there in concepts and grading and everything, having it in the areas, either of the areas that you were suggesting, Mike, north of the large pavilion or in the center more of between the small one and the playground. I think of a hot sunny day, how many moms are gonna sit in the shelter and watch the kids play out there? Rather, you know what I mean? It's gonna be far more convenient to the people who are there with their kids using it by having it there.
You mean if we put it between the
If
two?
we put it in
buildings?
that triangle between the playground, the east small pavilion, and the big pavilion, if it's somewhere in the middle of that triangle,
Oh, you're talking
more,
about here?
yeah, there's more eyes on it. Go, so what did you?
Well, what we were we were more concerned about by the closer you put it to the pavilion with the wetness and the kids having to use the restrooms.
Right.
That if there, if there's something, event going on there, they're gonna run through, they possibly could run
Right.
through, because, and to use the restroom over here, there's someone on both sides. So that's why they were kind of thinking maybe here, and
And also
have
if
a
you-
little changing room or a single.
And I was thinking too, if you put it too close to the large pavilion, a lot of people use that outer space of the pavilion for when they haven't host an event, they use that green space for games or whatever. And I think if you put a splash pad right in the middle there, that would take that space away.
Right.
And that's a good point.
Yeah, so they use mostly this area of green space, what we've seen, and then this area of green space for the overflow, because the grills are right over here too, and then there's a bench.
So if it's just just
like
northeast of it,
right
right there,
yeah.
is, it's
Seems
in
like-
view of everything.
That seems like.
Where if it's on the east side of the small pavilion, you're not gonna have the
Right.
observation of it
Right.
from pavilions as easily to keep an eye on kids and stuff.
And
was
then
my
would
only thing.
we'd still be able to keep the small pavilion, Mike? Is that what we're thinking?
We could be able to keep it, yeah. I mean, you could also not reconstruct, rehab it into changing rooms to save money on that. I mean, I'd hate to lose a small pavilion
Yeah.
because it gets used a lot.
Right.
But to answer your question, Don, I did find it's about depending on the size, right? 5,000 gallons a day, all the way up to 25,000 gallons a day for your large ones. So I would say this one would probably fall within 10 to 15,000 gallons a day, which is considerable.
It's a lot of water.
What does that equate in dollars over?
Well, it's thousands for, I mean, to have that freshwater system is probably like I had it calculated out, like $2,000 to $4,000 annually to pay for the water usage if we do fresh water.
And what is it if you use the recycled water?
That's-
Yeah.
It's gotta be as much or more.
right?
To do the yeah, to do the.
To do the recycling.
Because you're paying for someone to do it.
Yep,
You're paying for
you
the
gotta pay
chemicals.
for the chemicals. It's probably a wash, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But those are details that will get fleshed out, no pun intended. When we start talking, going out for RFP with design, what I'll probably do is I'll get designs for a recirculating system, designs for a freshwater system, and then we can make decisions based on what we feel is best, you know, in the long term for the city, easiest to maintain, what's the cheaper option of the two. You know, that's stuff that will come in the future, and I'll
Is there-
definitely have a lot more
Yeah,
details
then there's
for you.
probably, is there any hygiene difference between the two? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, with chlorine obviously is killing everything. that
Yep,
it
chlorine is
touches.
killing everything, yep. With the freshwater system, any cryptosporidium or any type of bacterial, obviously, the features always have to be washed, you know, sprayed down by staff, cleaned daily. Any type of water that's contaminated is flushed out,
Okay.
right, with a freshwater system. It's not staying in.
Right.
Right? Whereas if like have a recirculating system and the chemicals get too low or the pumps malfunction or something, and all of a sudden that recirculating water isn't treated for a 24-hour period, then you might have some bacterial issues and
Oh.
people get viruses.
That fresh water seems best. Now, when I look at that small pavilion,
Yep.
when you look at locating, if you use the small pavilion and repurpose it as a dressing, you know, changing area, then you can get the ideal location with that, and then build another you know,
Yeah,
at the best. I mean, it gives you all kinds of options to place that strategically once it's in place.
sure.
And I would suggest doing it that way.
Yeah, that's definitely an option. So I think, I mean, is there a does the board kind of have a consensus of putting it kind of north of that small pavilion? Does that make the most sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
And with the express purpose of using it as a change.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be my amendment to it.
okay,
That works for utilities, did you say? Is that
Yeah.
third on the line? Okay.
yeah. It's
Does-
close to the utilities.
Yeah.
Yep, it's close to the fresh water supply. Yep, the water line that comes into the park. And then depending upon the type of system that we go with. The recirculating system, obviously, it's more expensive up front because you're having to purchase all the pumps and the chemical pumps and all that, and have to make like an actual like pump house. You can't have these chemicals out in the wide open. You know, there's a lot of restrictions on who can handle the
Storage.
chemicals, who can store it, who can, you know, there's the ongoing cost. So I mean, that's something that to consider into the future too, but like I said, this is just basically trying to get a location picked out, so when I start developing the RFP, and we'll talk about, this will kind of be an ongoing park board item for the next, you know, several months until this, because the idea is to go through this process over the next few months, RFPs, selection of design, the types of features. Do you want it more flashy? Do you want it more nature toned? I know like over in Rosemount, they did a splash pad that's really earthy looking. So it doesn't even really look like a splash pad, but yet it's still a splash pad. Where you see other splash pads that are neon greens and flowers and this and that. I mean, those are options that we'll have to discuss over the next few months, and then go out for bid. Whether or not we can install it, maybe we can start later this fall and then finish it up in the spring, summer for next summer. But that's kind of the timeline that I'm looking at.
Fun.
You mean hoses on stepladders won't work?
That would be, there you go.
Black
The old-
plastic.
The old sprinkler on the end of garden hose,
that's right,
right? That's what.
I had a black plastic strip down the middle,
There you
and it
go.
was
Yeah.
blazing hot. And just put a hose on it; it'll be fun. Have fun.
Burn your skin. Okay, well, that's very helpful. That's the information that I needed, so I'll move forward with that location then.
Real quick, sort of unrelated. Where's the boundary line, based on this picture, between the water treatment and the park? I'm looking at a different map. I mean, same thing you printed out. There's the main road into the park.
Yep.
South of that, is that parkland all the way up to the water treatment plant, pretty much, or?
Yeah, they just really have that corner
Okay,
and the land around the water tower.
okay.
That's part
So
of
as
the
we talk
park.
about skating rink or something, that conceivably there's some other land to do other things on, if we're taking up a,
That whole area to the east, towards O'Neill Road from the small pavilion, is all level,
Yep,
as is back to the south there, all the way back to the big pavilion.
yeah.
Yep.
And you could put ice skating rinks over the utilities, and it's not gonna
Right.
bother them, so we still have a lot of area there to
Yeah.
grow into.
The actual like property line is very close to the northern edge of the current water building.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Parks fought to have that building look the way it does.
Yeah.
And not be just a metal Butler building that
Yeah.
was originally gonna
That's a nice looking building.
go out there.
Yep. Okay.
Do you have anything else on that? Next item up are the restrooms at Williams Park.
Yep. Similarly, the council approved the CIP, which included a new restroom at Williams Park, and bringing forward want to have the park board's input on the location. Currently, I didn't have an aerial of where the current one is. Shoot, the
It's over
all right, hold on one second.
toward the street.
Williams is up on the hill.
Williams Park restroom
Yes.
is?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
It's
yeah.
right near the parking.
Yep.
all the time.
So Williams Park is located right at the corner of Laurel and 9th Street, up on top of the hill here. Okay, yeah, Don, you know where it's at. So there's the size of the restroom. In my issue sheet, I kind of gave you some reference as far as what the costs were. For the restroom up at Grandview Park was $275,000. The one at Anderson Park was $130,000 approximately. So it kind of gives you an idea of the size of facility that we're gonna be able to build with the budget that we're given. So we're $175,000. So we're probably looking at more of a facility like the one at Anderson Park, which works out well. It's a single, Donald's right across the street. So with that kind of in mind, what's the park board's feeling on where you would like to see that facility be built? Now, obviously, there's, the current ones are underneath some pine trees, and it's kind of leading to some of the maintenance issues that we've had to deal with over the years with that facility, with dropping branches and the pine needles being more acidic and rotting away the shingles and, the wood and so on and so forth. So it might make sense to push it a little north, so it's more in the open, a little more air, so on and so forth. But I think the ideal location and what my recommendation would be is to kind of keep it in between the two playgrounds, kind of in the middle of the park, and maybe just push it a little bit further to the north. But I want to get your thoughts on that as well.
Can you incorporate, like at Anderson, where they have an area with picnic table kind of thing, you could sit in there and?
Yeah.
Yeah, that will still have, but the
That's-
bigger issue is how flat is it there? How much of a cut are you gonna have to make into that hillside to?
Yeah, because it is
To
kind
set
of
it
a
into
hump
it.
there, isn't it?
Set
Yeah.
into it, yeah. So I want to try and keep the grading to as minimal as possible to save money.
Yeah.
So I don't want to push it so far to the north where we're having to cut and then have to add a retaining wall and this
Yeah,
and that.
that was my
I want to
fear.
keep it on the flat, and if we have to raise maybe the south end up just a hair and build it, and then slope it away from the bathroom that way
Yeah.
down to the road, that would probably be my preference. I don't want to cut 2, 3, 4 feet of fill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would cost too much.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm just trying to think, here's the existing bathroom, here are the
Yep.
playgrounds.
Yep.
Is there any space over here closer to that one playground? I mean, closer to 11th and I don't remember what the grading was like there.
If that helps.
You got it, Mike?
So that's
The only
current one, I
comment-
think.
Oh, there's too many trees, maybe.
Yeah.
Is keeping it as mom-friendly
This is where it is now.
Yeah.
as we can,
Important.
because it's so heavily used by toddlers and kids
Okay.
that, ample room for changing, right? You got a changing table and
Yep,
and
changing
that kind
table.
of space in there, both the men's and the women's, but you have, it as parent-friendly as we can do it,
Okay.
just because of that.
And I'm guessing you kind of want to keep it in its same general location because of the
Utilities.
utilities,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yeah, if we put it in Obviously, if we put it on one side of the park, the other side of the
Yeah.
park, then you have to account for running the
Can
water
we
lines.
just change the trees?
Yeah, right?
Well, I mean, can we?
That's a possibility.
If, I mean, just keep it in its same, rebuild it in its same location, but change out the pine trees and,
No, we're actually talking about adding, though.
So the current facility would be torn down.
Oh, really? So we'd still only have one there?
Correct.
Okay,
The current facility is in very, very poor shape.
yeah, okay, okay. Sorry, I missed that
No,
part.
that's fine.
I thought it was an additional one.
And is there,
example of what it would look like, yeah.
like, the rules of thumb for
going to
these
look
kind of
like.
things is, being near parking? So parents can, I don't know, I'm trying to,
Because right now, it's between the two
it's
spots.
right by the park, yeah. Is that a benefit,
Right?
or does that
Yeah.
really not
So
matter?
I'm like, well, I've got it on Google Maps.
It is
so
a
it's
benefit.
On the corner of that
I wouldn't
one.
think so, because
Yeah,
you're right when you
because
get
you're
there
parked between
or about
two-
to
It's a
go,
Yeah.
before you get in the
Or
car.
you're putting stuff away and,
You don't want
Timmy,
it to have
go
to
use the
run.
bathroom quick before we leave.
Yeah, so you don't want them to have to cross the entire park
Right.
before you go,
Mm-hmm.
so.
I don't know, if I think if you just change the trees out and put a new building in, you
Yeah,
won't have you won't have to move anything, you just
Yeah, plant new trees.
plant new trees.
Yeah.
Those pine trees are scraggly anyway.
Well, people.
Sorry.
No, they're not that special,
Yeah.
no.
And our gardener
No
doesn't
offense,
like to
trees,
be-
but.
No offense,
you
trees and the green, and the trimmers.
know, Yeah,
Right.
Or we could just move it like 20 feet to the north and keep the trees.
There we go.
whatever's the easiest.
What's the least amount of blowback I'm gonna get?
Reuse
Probably just move it to
wood
the north
for
20 feet.
the
Okay.
Building.
There we go.
What's that?
We'll reuse the wood from the
pine.
trees.
The pine.
Yes.
And
Playing them
turn
down,
into-
there you go.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, if they
could
produce
build
too
them
much
up.
sap and too much
right.
destruction, I mean, it's
Yeah.
not, they're not helping anything.
Okay.
Nice
What's your thought on the design of the building? Now, the one in the issue sheet, that's the one at Anderson Park. There's a area to place a picnic table on one side, and then the other side,
There's a utility room.
yep, so there's a, yep, so you got like a single, it's a urinal, it's a single stall restroom and a baby changing table, and then on the other side is the mechanical room, the utility room. On the far south side, the overhang, it doesn't really serve a purpose for me. You can't fit any picnic tables or anything underneath it, so I think if you kind of just shorten that wall up, so that is, on one end is like the bathroom and utility room, and then it extends out to place maybe one or two picnic tables on one end. I think that's
Yeah.
a more functional design, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, Don? Better use of it, because not saying that this is, poorly designed or anything like that, it's just that one side is just so small, you can't really fit anything underneath it, you know?
It's not very attractive,
Yeah,
really isn't.
yeah. So, okay. Because then what I'm gonna do is I'll reach out to some architectural firms and have them, I have the plans for this facility, so they don't have to start from square one.
Yeah.
They can kind of piggyback on what's already been done and hopefully save the city some money with some of the initial design costs. And then once we kind of have a design, we brought it back here, maybe put it on where it would actually look on the park and get some
Utilitarian.
estimated costs, and then we can
Utilitarian.
approve the plans and specs and move
It's
forward with
utilitarian.
it. So, okay,
It does its job.
good. That's all I needed.
And it's gonna be a single stall,
Yeah,
just like, okay.
yeah.
A big single stall.
Yeah.
Now, under old business, but it wasn't on the agenda to have been new business last time, is the Memorial Park. The Veterans Memorial one.
Is that me now?
Yeah, so Tori and Mike had reached out to me to put this on the agenda for continued discussion and see if they have any updates or anything that they want the General Park Board to discuss. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to the both of you.
Well, as you said, Mike and I met and talked a little bit, and first, I brought this to all of you about a veterans memorial. And then we all discussed it a little bit, and then it was mentioned that there may be some park space available, a new park space available, which I would like to maybe move into that. But when we discussed, my thought went from an actual veterans memorial place somewhere at a park where it was just sitting there to an actual memorial park. since if we have new park space coming. And then maybe making it, we kind of discussed some plans, I know, because we, obviously if it's a new park that's already going to be developed, that we, that funding, we'd have more funding available that way. But then also maybe making it more, turning it into a community-funded park. I don't know if that's an option, but where our community can come together and help develop the park in itself, funding it and that sort of thing. But starting off as a Veterans Memorial Park and then allowing people to put their memorial, family or friend memorials within the park and help develop it that way as well. So that's a lot of things I just threw at you, but that is kind of, I really think it would be a big asset. And I know New Richmond is actually building something now as well. They're doing a memorial Freedom Park, I think it's called. They're going to actually have a senior center and a veterans center in there. I mean, I wouldn't be against that either. But
How big do you want to fundraise for?
well, and that's just the
Really
thing.
comes
That's what
down to-
that's what Mike and I were talking about. How
Big and ask.
how big? I mean, can we have the community itself involved? Can we have our the residents of Hudson? Can they contribute to this type of thing? I don't know what the steps are for that. I'm just saying this is what's in my brain, and how can we make it work?
That and the St. Croix Foundation.
Right. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that would, can help donate money.
Any money for that
Right.
thing, it's just how big an ask do you want to go?
And where can we put it? I mean, I know, because it was mentioned that the dog park area, but I don't know, do we even know the size of the lot that's going to come to us?
Yep,
General, yeah.
yep.
And it's just something, I just think it would be just a nice, instead of people placing memorials throughout Hudson, we could start making this an actual area where someone could, right, someone could plant a tree in the name of their loved one. They could put a brick somewhere in the name of a loved one, and we could build the park into, have it mapped out, and this is what these are things where you can purchase and you can, and then you can go visit. I mean, if it's up at the old dog park location, that'll be next to the baseball fields. There'll be, I'm hoping there'd be ample parking. More community events could be held, Veterans Day memorials or whatever. I mean, I could just see in my head, I can just see a lot of positive
Well, in the
out of that.
attribute of you're not changing somebody's park already.
Right,
You don't have a group of people who's already invested in
Right.
that park and its use in that particular way.
right.
That you're starting from scratch
I
with
think
it.
that makes a
Right.
lot of sense.
And it's got to be, I mean, in the park, the new development of a new park it's got to be, flattened out. It's got to be graded. It's got to do all this stuff has to be done anyway to it. So if we start off with a plan in this direction, I think, I can only imagine the community would come behind us and really welcome that as well.
Putting that together as a Veterans Memorial Park and a community center and activities, I mean, that would be such a draw. And, there's.
And even a senior center, because we don't have a senior center.
Yeah, I mean, that could all be incorporated together.
So those are just some things.
That's-
I dream big. When I go, I'm going to go.
So, it could be that big a dream. Quite easily, and be quite nice.
I agree. And I think it'd be a great location.
It would be a perfect location.
I mean, it could even be.
It's got all the
welcome.
attributes of park, like you said. Infrastructure's already there, parking's already there, and it's a brand-new facility that we get to design the way we want it to be.
Want it to look, right.
And
And
like any of the other plans that we've done for parks, when we did the redo of the master plan for Prospect, there's a baseball diamond laid out in the middle of that. The whole part of Prospect.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Just so that it was in the plan.
Plan, in the
so
event that it was going to be there, right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
We didn't know about pickleball when that was done.
Yeah.
But my point is, if it goes in the plan,
Right, then you know where it can
then
go
we
in the
know where
future.
everything else is gonna be, and it can be planned and done in stages, or
Right.
how it goes.
Right,
But
But that'll be the purview of the park board, is when that land is accepted by the city and becomes an official park. The park board would be responsible for master planning that parcel of land. I like the idea of it being from scratch. It's very good size,
okay,
which would house these types of amenities. It's not like a little corner pocket park
Sure.
where it's only like a quarter of an acre or less than that, right?
Right.
It has some size to it, which lends itself to be able to have options
Right.
in the future.
To development.
And so once that land is taken in by the city, that'll come in front of Park Board, and you will ultimately have the say of what that park looks like based on your feelings, what you're hearing from your district, maybe the area residents. That's kind of how I've done in the past, where a new park comes on land. I've held some neighborhood meetings. Here's a new park in the, in your neighborhood. What do you like to see here? Those are more of your active parks where you have like playgrounds and tot
Sure.
lots for families. The area down there might be a little different because it is so big and in next to the ballpark and brewery and so on and so forth. So I don't think you're way off on what you're dreaming out there.
Okay.
So I'll just.
That'd be great.
Could we also incorporate, like horseshoe pits, all those different games people do in parks?
Yeah.
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 I mean, that would be,
But-
that draws people constantly.
Right.
Yeah, because I just, so going, so we get the land.
Yep.
We've got it, now we're in development. How does that, can we do community, I mean, how does that work? Like if you ask for people to fund, to fundraise for it, to make sure that we've got
The city does accept donations
Okay.
for different types of park amenities. We've
Okay.
done in the past, the
playground
playground
up
at
at
White
White
Camp.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. That was like, because we were talking about that too. That was like 20 years ago, that Grandview Park came and,
Grandview Park and then
Yep.
White Camp Park.
okay.
That's another one.
Yep.
So, yeah, that can be
So,
done.
so dedicated monies to the development of the park or whatever part of the park, if they want to contribute to one thing in particular, whatever that is
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
thing. Okay.
In that,
Named Veterans Memorial Park.
you could name it that, is right.
I just like Memorial Park.
Because of the size of that facility or that potential parkland, I think it would make sense when we get to that point to bring in maybe some professional designers to help guide us through that process, because they can look at it from, that 30,000
grander
foot view.
scope, yeah.
And try to put the pieces together and make it look fluid and make it look nice and inviting. Whereas like if I try to plan it, or, it's like, oh, here's a pog and it doesn't flow together real well.
Right.
Well, they'll have a
Right.
better idea. So
Right.
just to put that out there as well, I think that's a good idea to bring professionals on
Mhm.
board when
I
that
agree.
time comes.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. Is there a time frame for that land that we're going to get back, or do we have that idea?
Fred? Pat, you're on planning commission.
I don't know the answer
Okay.
to that.
Okay,
I honestly don't. To me, Fred, you'd know as well as me, how many moving parts are yet to be decided out where the ball field and the brewery and everything is gonna go? And the rest of that
Oh, I'd say at least half of that property is yet to be
determined.
determined as to, the hotel is pulled out, all the retail is pulled out. We've only gotten some, unfortunately, call it partial fills in there, which are wonderful ones. Don't get me wrong, but as far as volume and space, we're at maybe 50%, maybe.
Yeah. I wouldn't expect anything this year. let's
Right,
put it that
okay.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing in the hopper. I mean, with interest rates gone up now, but it hasn't stopped, but it's slowed it down.
sure,
Yeah.
Cost of money.
yeah.
So is the exact location of the park, future park,
Yep.
already
Mapped out?
mapped out, or is that a fluid thing too?
Yes, it has been mapped out.
It's already, so, all right, so we already know that that's there, okay.
We already know the area that it would be. Yeah.
Yep.
Now it's a matter of the city acquiring it.
Okay.
And negotiating a price, so on and so forth.
So a year, maybe two?
Yeah, I wouldn't expect any movement this year.
Yeah.
It would probably be the following summer, yeah.
But that's not to say the planning couldn't go up.
Right, if we have the size
parallel
of it
to
and
that
everything, we
taking
could kind
place
of, right.
Once we know it's gonna be
Once we
coming.
know.
Right, because you don't want
Ready to
to,
go.
you don't want to take it in and then be like, okay, now we have to wait
Yeah.
this much longer.
Yeah.
I mean, we could, if we
Be a
know
little
if we know we're getting it, we can
And
do
what-
some planning with it, that'd be great.
Sorry.
That's all right.
What's the trigger for that? Does the developer say, here you go now? Or is it,
The percentage of occupancy, I would say,
okay,
it has to be, it's pretty hard to fund things until you got the place kind of full,
yeah, okay.
if that makes sense to you.
Yep.
And that's what I think we're looking for is get it 80% filled up, say, then I think all the discussion you're having here would probably be a viewpoint, because then we'd be at that level and people would be wanting to proceed and go ahead with it. And the money would be there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the need would be there.
So we need to go solicit new business for down there.
But that's just
Right.
realize that when you look at how other places have, how it kind of unfolds, other places, what happens, or what you're asking to have, when does that happen? It kind of follows those lines.
Okay.
If you're looking for an exact answer, I can reach out to Mike Johnson, Community Development Director. He would have a really good handle on that process.
But we have a basic draw and size of the
Yes.
land. I mean,
Yep.
we know what
What
plot
piece of
we're
ground.
getting. Okay.
Location and size, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And so we'll know that, and we can decide how we're gonna go about the planning process.
Right.
Yeah, there's,
Ample time to
To lay it out and figure it
get a
out.
good idea what we're doing.
Yeah.
as soon as we know from Mike Johnson, Planning Commission and Council, once that developer's agreement is signed and that parcel is intended to be brought into the city, I mean, I think once that's signed, that's kind of the trigger that, okay, we know that this is going to be a future park at some point in time. You know, once we know that, then maybe we can start having those conversations on, you know, designing it, community
Okay.
feedback, you know, and start pursuing some of those, but,
So waiting until it's in
Yeah.
our possession.
yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to introduce another thought too, just because the Y is so close by up there with all the things that they do, that they should maybe be brought in on some of this, because could there be some shared and or needed things that they would like to see or use,
Oh.
you know, within
Yeah.
a county type thing, and then they'd be willing to, I mean, just to at least bounce it off of them, because they're right next door.
Right. Yeah, they are right across the street.
That's just an idea, that's all that is. But I would think you'd wanna say, hey, we're gonna do something here, is there something that you'd be interested in?
Okay.
Would fit.
No.
Good.
You have what you need?
Me? Yeah, I think so.
I think-
Yeah, I was hoping that you would all be on board, and sounds like you are. So
Yes.
I'd like to move ahead. Once we can move, I'd like to move with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you see agreement from all of us that it's a direction that we'd like to see that
Okay.
park become.
Perfect.
Yeah, great,
Yay.
great solution to it. Project updates.
We just had a meeting today with the parking coordinator, Katie Suckup. She ordered the pay stations for the new boat launch. They are set to arrive, what did she say, Deb, at the end of the month?
Yep.
So we went through kind of initial training on what it looks like for season pass holders, how they're going to be entered in the system, how people are going to pay there, how we're going to get the word out that this is the new system that we're going with, so on and so forth. So we had a good meeting with her this afternoon, and that's moving forward. The ice rink has been up and running. The weather's been beautiful. There's some good base there, and a lot of kids have been using it. Hopefully the warm weather doesn't, I'm seeing like 40s next week now, possibly. You know, you can't catch a break with that ice facility, but we'll keep it as open as long as we can. This last weekend, Hot Air Fair went off rather well. I thought there was a lot of people in town for it. Balloons were able to launch this year, which has been done for the last
Yeah.
2, 3, 4 years to my memory. They had the
Yeah, they launched. Yeah.
yeah, they had the Rotary had their ice plunge down in Lakefront Park on Saturday, so that was very well attended as well. So obviously a lot of things are going on in our parks, even though it's the winter time, and it's obviously a good time to use them. Kids are sledding down the hills at White Camp and Vine Street Square, so people are still getting out and about when the weather's nice, which is good to see.
They've been like ants on a snow cone
Yeah.
at the sledding hill.
Yeah.
Anytime it's nice, there's kids all over it.
Yep.
That's great.
Yep. So that's all I have.
Anybody have anything for new business or future agendas that they want to bring up? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Leave that with
Thank you all.
Sure.
And great idea for the park.
Yeah.